Welcome back to the Ways to Flourish podcast, where we discuss how to flourish through our challenges and elevate voices across William & Mary's campus. I'm Lindsay Heck.
And I'm Eric Garrison.
And today we are joined once again by Patty DeBlas and Cindy Crace. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you for having us back.
Fun to be back.
Yeah, I think last time you were in the spring semester, and we got to talk about different types of yoga classes that are available here on campus. And this time you're here to chat about yoga therapy, one of the therapeutic services that we have available on campus for students and staff.
I was not here for that conversation, so who are these fantastic people sitting across from me? I know them, but the audience, I would like to hear more.
Yeah, so Patty DeBlas is one of our yoga instructors and co-teacher of the Shanti Garadasana Yoga School, along with Cindy Crace, who does the same. And why don't you all tell us about yourselves?
Go ahead, Patty. You go first.
So I am a certified yoga therapist as well as an registered yoga teacher with 500 hours training. I have specialties in functional yoga therapy as well as teaching unique populations. I have about 4,000 hours in teaching time, which puts me in the range of an experienced teacher.
And is that the E in the RYT?
That is the E in the RYT, yes.
And so what does it take in particular to get the E?
The E is the number of hours that you have in the classroom teaching. So, and as a member of Yoga Alliance, they do require us to do CEUs as well as have a certain number of hours within the classroom teaching yoga in order to keep your registration with them.
And I'm also an REYT. I have close to over 8,000 hours of teaching experience. I'm also got my yoga therapy in 2013. So I'm a certified yoga therapist through International Association of Yoga Therapy.
That's wonderful. I'm just trying to reach my 45, and you all are in the thousands range. It's really amazing the wealth of knowledge and experience that you bring to our campus and for our students and staff. So tell us a little bit about yoga therapy. What is it exactly? How is this different from a traditional yoga class?
So a therapeutic class, we work through what we would call the kosha model. So all of the layers of our being, everything from our physical level to our spiritual level to our wisdom level, our pranic or energy level. So all of our classes, and especially here on campus, Cindy and I are so lucky that we get some input into how the classes within the yoga base are designed. We're lucky all our classes here do have that therapeutic component to it. But there's also a part of yoga therapy where we work with people individually on what their needs are.
Yeah, and we really use all the yogic tools from, as Patty mentioned, pranayama, the asana practice. Most people that step into yoga from either they're having an injury and they're trying to recover, or they're suffering from stress and anxiety. So they step into this space and then they realize the therapeutic component of it. And that's the difference between a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, is that we look at the whole body, and we can either do it on an individual basis or small groups that we've done here at the college.
And as we work with someone, we're working through all 8 limbs of the yoga. Cindy already mentioned most people step into a yoga practice through one limb, asana, that physical practice. But there are other limbs that we are allowed to explore in an individual practice with someone or a small group, particularly meditation being one of them. And we all know the benefits of meditation.
And how about the others?
We really like to look at the whole systems of the body instead of, if some people maybe have a broken bone and they go in and they're just looking at that one specific area. We look at the whole body, every aspect. How can we balance that body out instead of just looking at the injurious side?
as well as Cindy and I both have some expertise in trauma. So we work with people that might have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and how does that affect the body? How does it affect the mind space?
So the physical pieces, the emotional pieces, all of this coming together through the work of the therapy. And you talked about in the 8 limbs, the meditation piece, the asana, the poses piece. What are the other elements of that work?
One of the big ones is the breath piece or the prana piece, how we move the energy through the body with the breath. And we're really lucky. We spend a lot of time working with breath here on campus. We actually have a class dedicated to working with breath. So it's a great place to explore because so much can be told in the breath. And the breath helps to draw that personal awareness, and it can help to settle you and just know what's going on. Hey, my breath is a little off. Let me just pause for a second and just maybe tune in and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's the beauty of that voluntary breath that we can control that helps to blend the body and the mind to finding that optimal well-being of oneself. So it's kind of that bridge that helps to bring those two things together.
And so what was the path that you both took? What was the experience that led you to
I think
get involved?
our experiences are a little different, but pretty similar. So both of us kind of came to yoga through an injury or, for me, a health challenge. And I could immediately see the benefits of it. And then, my youngest daughter had a health challenge also that we stepped into yoga for her. And then as she went on to college, she wanted to become a yoga teacher. And I kind of went along that road with her to support her. And, here I am from that. So.
Yeah. And I stepped into yoga, just plain yoga from my collegiate. I was a collegiate tennis player, and I had a tennis elbow injury. And instead of going through the doctor route, I went through the yogic route and ended up healing myself. And I just enjoyed the whole experience of yoga. And then my mother-in-law became ill, and I wanted to help her, and I didn't have enough tools with just being a yoga teacher. And that's when I stepped into the therapeutic component, was to learning more about how to heal through the yoga tradition and finding that well-being for her. So that's kind of what motivated me to step deeper into and become a yoga therapist.
Now, how often would a person participate in these sessions? What's the frequency?
Well, it really is individualized. Some people know their limitations and they like to spend more time with you because they know they're not disciplined to do the work on their own. But some people are like, hey, I have the discipline to do this. Show me the techniques, and I'm going to practice this on our own. The way that Cindy and I generally work is that we let people kind of decide what's best for them. They know their own bodies best. We're just their guides in this whole process, and we make ourselves available as they need us for this. Some people like to step in a little bit more, checking in with us. Others like to say, hey, I'm going to take this for a little while and I'm going to run with it. Let's check back at a date maybe 6 weeks away from now. So each person is a little different, and that's the beauty of working in this way, is that we have a lot of flexibility how we can work with someone.
Right, and it's really their goals. What are their goals? What they want to set, and what do they want to see at the end of the therapeutic sessions? So that's what we like to kind of look at is, where do you want to be? I had a client that was a grandmother and wanted to be able to get down on the floor with her grandchildren and get back up. And it was simple as that, but yet hard. And so it was just teaching her how to find that safe place of getting down and safe place of getting up from knee replacement.
And if I've never come in before, what can I expect when I come into a yoga therapy session?
So we always start with an assessment. And again, as Cindy said, we're working with your goals. And we're going to look at that physical body and see what's going on and see what you're aware of. And from your goals, that's where we move from. And then depending upon what's going on, you'll always get homework because, that's where the work is done. And depending upon, you're going to set the time frame. If you tell us you have 15 minutes twice a week to work on it, that's what your homework will be in that.
Yeah.
And then once you've achieved that, and if you're ready to add more on, we can do that.
Yeah, we really want to empower the client to seek this self-care. We have a tendency to not really listen to our body. It has these amazing messages it sends us, but do we take the time to listen to that? How many times have we gotten up in the morning and maybe our right foot hurts? And we kind of say, yeah, it's hurting, but it's okay. And we keep going until that voice in that right foot gets louder and louder and louder. We're trying to get people to tune into that first message that's coming into the body.
And is it always a physical goal that you're working on in a session?
Not always. Not always. And as Cindy said, the body's speaking to us all day long, right? And it's speaking in different ways. It may be a little vibration. It might be a sensation. It might be even just a little intuition. And we just have a tendency to not speak body language. So one of our goals is always to get the client to start listening to what those sensations and vibrations are. And that intuition, that intuition when you're getting up in the morning and you think, oh, I just need to just take a couple more minutes here. We want you to listen to that because that's where you gain the knowledge about your body in that space.
So it's really about that sense of self-awareness, just building that, connecting back.
Totally, Lindsay. Self-awareness is, we're continually, and even if you come to one of our group classes here, you're going to continually hear us remind you to tune that awareness inwards. Listen to your breath. Listen to what your body is saying. Notice what's going on.
And even looking for places that feel good in the body. Maybe one day the only thing that's feeling good in your body is your left big toe. But what does that feel like? And just letting those waves of feeling move up through and taking that awareness with you.
Now, Patty, you just used the word group. I've never done yoga therapy. Is there individual yoga therapy and group therapy where maybe one person with PTSD might benefit, but a whole group of people with PTSD could?
Yes, absolutely there is, because even within that group space, we're all coming in with our different needs. So whenever we're teaching a group class, whether it's for a specific population or just a generalized group, we're always going to be trying to speak in a language that is uniting to everyone and allowing them to feel this comfort within that group space so that they can just start to tune out the world and tune into what their body needs. And not only the physical body, because we're going to take some time clearing the mind space too, and playing with that prana to let that energy move through the body and notice what that feels like.
And how is this different from an experience with a PT, a physical therapist, or a personal trainer?
Right. Well, the PT, because the way the world is right now, they have only a certain amount of time they can see you, and they're only going to look at the injury because, unfortunately, that's kind of how our healthcare system is set up, and that's what they have the time for. We look at the whole body. If someone comes into us from a physical component with the boot on, we're going to look at how is that affecting the other side of the body. I hear people refer constantly that I have a strong side and I have a weak side. I don't like hearing that weak. It usually means the other side of our strong is a flexible side. It's picking up all that energy that needs to be done that the strong side just cannot bend and do. So we'll look at how can we balance that and how can we make the non-injured side stay that way through the process of healing.
And for personal training, and I can speak to that because I am also a personal trainer, that, we're working really in the physicality of the body, the imbalances that might be there, building strength and creating length in other places. Whereas, and yoga therapy, we're gonna take those times looking at the other layers too. So we're always gonna have a conversation about what's going on. How are you today?
How are
Not just
you
coming in
sleeping?
and right.
How
Not
are you
coming in and,
sleeping? How are you taking
getting
the
enough water? Everything good at home? How's your workload?
What's the pattern that you're doing
Right.
every day?
What are you doing for fun? That kind of stuff, so that we make sure that we're taking care of all the parts of our being. Not, it's important to take care of this physical body for sure. We all know that. But there are so many other layers to our being that we need to just take care of.
So it's really an integrative approach also
Totally
within
integrative,
itself. And as dynamic beings, I imagine that shifts and changes. So maybe
Yes.
sometimes where you start might not be what you're focusing on farther down the line.
Now, what does this look like in the maintenance phase? Like if you've worked through something, and what comes next?
So again, it depends upon the individual. I have some clients that have come to me over the years, and they just check in periodically. Like, hey, I think I'd like to just set up a session. I think something's going on. Let's set up a session. I have other clients that like to work with me once or twice a week. They just find that works well with them, with their schedule. It's like they know, especially type A people, they know like if they've got it on their calendar, they're showing up. So they get it on their calendar and they do that. And then others just dip in and out as they need it. Come for an injury. We have athletes that we work with that are rehabbing from an injury, and they come in, they get their injury healed, and then they know the next time when they hurt something where they might have gone through other places before. A couple people who, on their first phone call, sometimes even before they go to their doctor, they are like, hey, I want to set up an appointment. Something's going on.
And then the disciplined people that kind of get it and really embrace it, sometimes you won't hear from them for years. They're taking the yoga class, they're doing their practice, and they're staying well. They're doing that self-care.
And the thing I want to also make sure we say out loud is, we have this picture of what yoga looks like. That picture of the person on the front of Yoga Journal magazine. And that's, for the most part, that's not what we're doing. We have people all ranges and ages doing things. You're not standing on your head when you come to us, or, once in a while we'll get somebody that might be their goal is like, I really want to do a handstand or a headstand. But for the most part, it's people just looking to find this comfort within their body, some awareness that they know they need to know, but they're not sure how to get there. And that's what we're helping them to do.
No, I just heard the word people. What populations would benefit from yoga therapy?
Absolutely anyone. We've worked with people that are in their 90s. We've worked with children. We've worked with athletes. We've worked with professors. We've worked with parents. We've worked in groups with people together. So everybody can benefit from what we're doing.
And even youth sports, they're doing repetitive motion. So we're seeing some really
Interesting.
middle school children that are interested in finding that balance.
Do you have an example of a great success story that really illustrates the power of yoga therapy?
I do. I have someone that came to me from a neurologist that had all these issues, and she was just so dedicated that we worked for almost a whole year to where she's in an amazing place right now. And every once in a while, I'll see her in a yoga class that she's doing awesome. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah, and I have a success story in an ex-professional athlete who was doing all sorts of different things to keep himself safe, and really where he found the most benefit was in his yoga therapeutic practice. He still does all of his other things, but he checks in every once in a while and says, hey, let's just tweak this program a little bit because, as he's aging, he's like, I'm not doing as much as this as I used to, so I'd like to add something in that helps me with us. And he's been a great client over the years. Yeah.
Now, you're talking about all these other things that are out there. Where is yoga therapy perhaps more effective than some of these other modalities?
Well, it's not necessarily more effective. It works in tandem with the other modalities. So Cindy and I are always the first one. If somebody says, hey, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be eating too, we're going to refer them to a nutritionist. If they say, hey, this is hurting, our first question is always going to be, have you spoken to your physician about that? So we're working in tandem with the other modalities for sure. And that's usually when we're able to work in that threading of the people together, that's where it really works best because you have a team approach.
Yeah, and it's really good to work in that tandem, that kind of bringing those threads together. It makes it more successful if we're all working as a team. And each one of us has our own team that we refer people out to.
When we sometimes talk about our complementary modalities, people come in looking for the free services that they can access.
Right.
And I think that working in tandem with your healthcare team is just such a great way to describe how that all fits together.
I also love the fact that, we all in our fields have our little Rolodex box, and it's nice that people in every field, it sounds like, has got those things they can turn to, the people they can turn to make that team.
Right.
So tell us how we can get connected with you for yoga therapy.
So on the wellness app under therapeutic services, am I correct, Lindsay? Correct me
Yep.
if I'm wrong here. Is you can sign up for an appointment with us. Yeah, you can always reach out to Cindy or I too if you see us after class or around campus. We're happy to talk to you about it.
Anytime in class, anything comes up, please, we're there to help in any way we can.
That's wonderful.
Lindsay, can they, if they don't have the app, can they find them on the website?
Yeah, so on the William and Mary Wellness app, like Cindy said, or excuse me, like Patty mentioned, the modality services icon. And then also you should be able to search yoga therapy on the William and Mary website and locate that on the williamandmary.edu/wellness.
Now, what are some similar things to yoga therapy that are on campus?
Well, we've got yoga for stress right now. If you're searching for that, Patty's doing a session with that, and then there's the prana classes, and we also have we're doing 15 minutes. We call them lunch breaks that you can come on in different modalities there, from meditation to you've got the singing bowls. Chair yoga.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, the prana classes are the breathwork classes.
Yes, classes. Yeah, so we have in our meditation series of classes, which are awesome. We have 2 that are centered upon the breath, which is helpful if you're stepping into meditation. Maybe it's new to you. Just have that little point of focus. We're all familiar with what our breath sounds like, right? And you can focus on that, and it helps you just to bring a little bit more of that mindfulness in.
In the mindfulness series, and you've got a breath series coming up too, don't you?
A breath series coming up, yes, yeah. Where if you're interested in learning how to practice breath on your own, we dive into that for 3 or 4 weeks, yeah. And it's virtual. You don't even have to leave your seat to do it. Yeah.
And breath work is so important right now with what's going on in our world. It really helps not only with stress and anxiety, but we're building that lung capacity, fighting this pandemic that's around us.
Absolutely.
And learning how to breathe with and without our mask is so important.
Different breath work does different things. There are some breaths that calm you, and it's beautiful to be able to do a breath work that energizes you, especially around midterms or finals, right? Instead of having that caffeinated drink, you can do a little breath work. It's pretty amazing.
So simple. And I think we
So
would
simple.
all be a little bit better, kinder to ourselves and everyone else if we could just.
The body's amazing.
Take a
It
few
knows
breaths.
what to do. We just have to listen to it and learn how to do what it needs to do when it
Manage
needs
it.
to do it.
Yeah, manage it.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do in a world where you're constant stimulus and everything that's outside and just returning back to that place
Yep.
within. So that's wonderful.
Now, what's some advice you might give to somebody listening right now where they're sitting on the fence instead of sitting on a mat? What are some things that you could maybe encourage them, or inspiration, or just to motivate them to participate?
I would first step in and try the virtual classes, and I mean, our staff here and Lindsay and everyone in the room did an amazing job of pivoting into this virtual world. So there's some wonderful things that we have live virtual, and we also have that you can access that are pre-recorded. So I would step into that first and just kind of experience it. And then if you feel empowered and are ready, please come to the classes here at the college. We have amazing sites. We have them at Lake Matoka. We have it here sometimes on the wellness deck, yoga, and then we also have it in our amazing studio rooms available. And
As
the rec
well
center.
as at Campus Rec. So we have plenty of opportunities there. And just know that all of the classes are accessible to everyone. So just step in. And if it's your first class, hey, just introduce yourself, tell a teacher it's, your first class, and you will be welcomed with open arms. There'll be enough support there for you. And then we do a beautiful job, all of our teachers and staff do a beautiful job making themselves accessible at the end of class. So if you have any questions, you just ask. And we can point you in the direction if you're not sure, like, oh, well, this part of this class didn't speak to me, but I'm thinking I'd like something like this. We can do it. And the beauty is we do get the opportunity to do it often. People are great about asking questions when they come. So we get the opportunity.
And you have a teacher training coming up
We
pretty
are
soon.
right now. We just finished our first weekend of teacher training, so that will be. It's a 7-weekend process, and we started in September. Applications for next year's are out on the website now.
So so look for those because applications, and we've given over $500,000 worth of scholarships. So we're really proud of that, and we're proud of the teachers that are stepping out of that space.
Yeah.
We've got some amazing teachers that studios keep trying to steal from us.
Right.
I try to hire them, but they're amazing teachers. They really are. They do it. The students here are just fabulous.
It's a unique program because it is a 200-hour RYT. So you do come out with that 200 hours.